The next step was cutting them out of the ply. I got a 12 mil sheet from Placemakers for $50. The guy there gave me a really, really good discount on the piece of ply that I wanted. It had it had two different sides, like I said before. It had the smooth side and the rough side. So of course I drew on the smooth side. I cut the ply into, I think there was 5 different long sheets, and then I split those sheets into about 3, so I had enough space to, fill up that and have enough space, to go out the lines, because I was going to be cutting them out of the bandsaw, which was in a piece of equipment that I hadn't used before. So I started by getting all my animals, cutting them all out to right to the edge, and then placing them on the pieces of ply, as you see here, and then drawing around them, just quite loosely, but still obviously knowing exactly where the contours are and where the drawings are. So I did that for all pieces. I ended up having 18 different pieces. So that's pretty much all of them laid out there on the table. And then I took them and went to the bandsaw and cut them all out, which I don't have photos of, obviously, because I was cutting them out in the bandsaw. And that proved to be quite difficult because there were lots of intricate little lines and details and getting the feet and the horns of like the deer and getting everything right. So I ended up having to sand them down afterwards. But they weren't completely perfect. That's not all, perfectly straight lines. But with the drawing added to them, you kind of can't really see it. And then this is me with the sealant, which was a mixture of things that I'm not entirely sure what it was. Bernard made it for me. He did it kind of quickly. He was in a bit of a rush, so I wasn't able to really grasp what he put in there, but there was terps and there was other stuff that kind of broke it down. It was very thin, and it dried quite shiny. Quite oily though, and that was the dilemma I had. It really, really caused problems for me because I could draw on these beforehand and it would bleed a little bit, but it wasn't so bad that I couldn't deal with it. As you can see there in the left hand corner, there was one that I already drew on, and it was the standing human with the line on top, and I already drawn on it, and I didn't mind it. Like it did have a little bit of bleeding, but it wasn't anything that I was too fussed, but I was so wanting to get it perfect, like perfection, just to perfect it. So I went and got the sealant on top, and it didn't make the pen run at all on that piece, which was fine. And then I was really excited about it. And so that one was done, what I thought was done anyway. And then I moved on to the other ones. I was using Artline pens to begin with. That was the pens that I'd already used. These are the pens that I have used for years to do my drawings. And they didn't have any problems drawing on the wood beforehand. But they were a felt. There was something about them. As soon as I started drawing them on the sealant, it was like oil and water. You couldn't mix them. The pen wouldn't sit on the surface of the wood after the sealant had been on it. It would smudge and it would just fade away. You could just pretty much rub it off like a whiteboard. And it just freaked me out because I didn't know what to do. I took them to Bernard and he told me to get a different type of pen. So I found a different type of pen. I found several actually. So first I went with the one that he gave me, which worked, and it had this hard end on it. It was thin, but it had a hard end on it. So I brought ones that were similar to that. They're called Righted Oral, and they were like a permanent marker. And then they ended up, I think, because of the oily substance that was, remained for a couple of days actually on the sealant, it sucked it up and the pen just ran dry. And in the end, the only pen that would work and that would last and got the sharp lines that I wanted and the look that I was going for was Sharpie. So here are up close pictures of each individual piece. After I had made them on the wall, they have the sealant, they have the lines going around, and I was really, really happy with the end result. I was able to get the thick lines and the thin lines. As you can see, in the rabbit's ears, you can see that there's 2 ears, with the thick and the thin, which I was really, really happy about. And the contours of the elephant and all the other animals, the different contour lines and things I was able to get. So yeah, I was really, really happy with the way that they had turned out and how I'd, fixed the problem of having the wrong pens to begin with, which really, really stressed me out. But yes. So the next was figuring out the layout of what I how I was going to put them in, what spaces I wanted to put them in, what space I needed for the exhibition in the galleries. So yes.